I texted, "Can't wait to see everyone at the reunion tomorrow." My brother replied, "Wait, you didn't know? It was yesterday." Then my aunt sent me photos. They were all there. My brother added, "Guess nobody told you, LOL." I didn't reply. But the next day, I made sure they'd never forget again. You know that gut-wrenching feeling when you suddenly realize you've been living a lie? When every polite smile, every casual dismissal, every forgotten moment wasn't just an accident, but a deliberate erasure. That's where my story begins, with a shattering realization that my own family never really saw me at all. I'm Noah, 27, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the middle child, a distant satellite orbiting the brighter stars of my family. I'm not usually one for drama or playing the victim, but sometimes life throws you a curveball that forces you to reevaluate everything. You start to wonder if all those times you were forgotten weren't just coincidences. Maybe, just maybe, they never truly considered you one of them. Growing up, our family gatherings were a symphony of chaos. Loud laughter over burnt barbecue, inside jokes from before I was born, and enough passive aggression to fuel a therapy group for years. My older brother, Zach, now 30, was the golden boy, athletic, charming, always the life of the party. Our younger sister, Ava, 23, was the baby, precious and untouchable. My mom especially doted on her like she was made of glass. And then there was me, Noah, the quiet one, oh, I forgot you were there one. It wasn't always bad, I guess. There were good moments, too. I'm not going to paint my childhood as a non-stop soap opera. But if you ask me to name a time I truly felt seen, really acknowledged by my family, I'd honestly struggle. Take birthdays, for instance. Mine always fell during that awkward summer stretch when everyone was on vacation or just busy. One year, my mom actually texted me, "We'll celebrate yours and Ava's together next month. That way it's easier." Ava's birthday is a full 6 weeks after mine, by the way. Still, I showed up. Every reunion, every holiday dinner, every backyard barbecue. I brought thoughtful gifts, offered to help clean up, and laughed at their jokes, even when I was the punchline. I told myself it was just family being family, that weird blend of love and irritation we all accept. Then came the reunion. Every 2 years, my extended family hosts this huge get-together. It's a big deal. Dozens of us under one roof, too much food, kids running wild, old folks repeating stories. The works. This year, it was supposed to be at Aunt Marie's place, my mom's older sister, who lives a couple of hours away in a charming lake town with a massive backyard. I was actually looking forward to it. I've been working nonstop in IT support, and the idea of a weekend away, catching up with cousins, sounded perfect. I marked Saturday, July 15th, in my calendar, and even took Friday off to help set up. The week before, I texted my mom, double-checking the address. Her reply, "Same place as last time. Can't wait to see you." No mention of the date, but I had it written down. I was prepared. The night before, I packed a bag, grabbed a bottle of wine, and even printed out some old family photos I found. Thought it'd be fun to share. I went to bed excited, a little anxious, but ready. The next morning, I woke up early, showered, dressed, and tossed everything in the car. The sun was out, the highway was clear, and my Spotify playlist was perfect. Everything just felt right. And then, somewhere around 10:40 a.m., as I stopped at a gas station about 15 minutes from Aunt Marie's, I pulled out my phone and sent a quick message to the family group chat. "Can't wait to see everyone at the reunion tomorrow." I hit send, went inside for coffee, and when I came back to the car, I had 2 new messages. The first was from Zach. "Wait, you know? It was yesterday." My heart dropped. Was he joking? Zach loved messing with me. I smirked, waiting for the inevitable, kidding LOL follow-up. But then, another message popped up, this time from Aunt Marie. Just a photo. A group shot. Everyone. Mom, Dad, Zach, Ava, Aunt Marie, Uncle Rick, Cousin Jenna with her new baby, even Grandma June, who rarely left her house. They were all smiling, arms around each other, plastic cups raised like it was the best day ever. Then Zach again, replying my earlier message. "Guess no one told you. LOL. No emojis, no explanation. Just that. I just sat there in the parking lot, holding my phone like it might burn a hole in my hand. The breeze from the open window suddenly felt sharp. My stomach twisted, not from anger yet, but from that slow, creeping realization that maybe this was an accident. I didn't respond. I didn't drive the rest of the way. I turned the car around, went home, and sat in silence for the rest of the day. That night, I barely slept. I thought about everything. The forgotten birthdays, the dismissive texts, the way they always said I was too sensitive when I called out being left out. And I wondered, did they ever actually care? Or was I just a placeholder in the family photo, the afterthought? By morning, something inside me shifted. I wasn't just sad anymore. I was done. Done being invisible. Done being the one who quietly accepted it all. If they didn't want to include me, fine. But I'd make sure they never forgot me again. And that's when the idea started to form. At first, it was just a flicker. Oh, what if? But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. If they wanted to pretend I didn't exist, I'd show them exactly what that felt like. I'd play their game. Only this time, I'd be the one making the rules. I didn't respond to Zach's text. Not that day, not the next. I went totally silent, but not out of passivity. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was hollowed out, like something inside me had finally snapped. You can only take so much before the final straw breaks you. And for me, it wasn't just that they had the reunion without me. It was the casualness of it all, the flippancy. Guess no one told you, LOL. Like it was some joke. Like it wasn't a clear, deliberate choice. I replayed the entire timeline in my head, obsessively. I'd texted Mom the week before, asked for the address. She said, same place as last time, and that she couldn't wait to see me. No mention of the date. Zach didn't say anything. Neither did Ava. Not even a, hey, see you tomorrow on Friday night. Just silence. And then that picture. The more I thought about it, the more I realized it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't forgetfulness. It was a decision. They had made the decision not to tell me. Whether it was out of spite, convenience, or just because they didn't care, I still don't know. But it was a choice. And that choice shattered something I've been holding on to for years. The hope that one day things would change. That one day I'd matter. The next week was weird. Quiet. I didn't reach out to anyone. I didn't reply to texts, even the two-liner Ava sent on Monday. Hey, everything okay? I left it on read. I could feel her hesitation through the screen, like she wasn't sure she was supposed to care or pretend it didn't happen. No one else followed up. No call from Mom. No, sorry we missed you, from Dad. Nothing from the aunts or uncles. That weekend, I got an email from work asking if I'd be willing to pick up some extra hours. I said yes without even thinking. It felt better to be needed somewhere, even if it was just resetting people's passwords and walking boomers through VPN login. A few days later, I logged onto Facebook. Yeah, I still use it sometimes, and saw that Aunt Marie had posted an entire album from Reunion. 53 pictures. Everyone smiling, playing cornhole, wearing matching shirts that said Johnson Family Reunion 2025. Still crazy after all these years. Cute, right? Except my name wasn't on the shirt, literally. In one of the pictures, Ava was holding up the back of hers where everyone's names were printed in a big family tree style. Noah was missing. I actually zoomed in to be sure. I can't describe the feeling in words. It wasn't just pain. It was something uglier. A mix of humiliation, disbelief, and this horrible sense of finality. Like they finally confirmed what I was always too afraid to say out loud. I wasn't part of them. I was out. I didn't know what I did to deserve it. I really didn't. I started doubting myself, questioning every interaction from the past few years. Had I offended someone? Missed something? Was I too distant, too reserved? Did they just get tired of pretending to like me? The only person I thought might tell me the truth if I pushed was Ava. We were never especially close, but she was never cruel. She was just passive. She went with the flow, rarely made waves. But maybe she knew something. So I texted her, hey, be straight with me. Why wasn't I invited? She replied 20 minutes later, I thought you were coming. I assume Mom told you it was on Friday. She said she talked to you. That was a lie. Mom had never said the date. And Ava? She didn't even sound surprised. I didn't reply. That's when I stopped looking for answers because, honestly, it didn't matter anymore. They didn't want me there. They didn't accidentally leave me out. They chose to leave me out. And then, just when I thought I was processing it all, something else happened that ripped the last piece of duct tape holding me together. My cousin Jenna had a baby shower the next weekend. I wasn't invited. How do I know? Because she posted photos of the party, tagging everyone who came. Zach was there, Ava, my mom, dad, even relatives who lived out of state. I wasn't even mentioned. No tag, no invite, not even a text saying, hey, just so you know it's a small thing. No hard feelings. The thing is, I'd always gotten along with Jenna. We bonded years ago over our shared love of bad sci-fi movies and argued about whether pineapple belonged on pizza. She used to text me when she had a rough day. I'd even helped her with her resume when she was job hunting. I was the one who fixed her laptop last Christmas. So I sent her a message. Just one line. Did I do something wrong? She read it, didn't reply. That was the moment, the breaking point. I'd spent years telling myself that maybe I wasn't trying hard enough, that if I just reached out more, showed up more, made myself more visible, they'd see me. But I had been trying, and they saw me. They just didn't care. No matter what I did, no matter how much I gave, how polite I was, how quiet I stayed, there was no room for me in that family anymore. Not in the core group, not where it mattered. I was like an old toy they outgrew but didn't have the heart to throw away. So they just left it on a shelf and hoped it wouldn't make noise. But now I was done being quiet. I spent the next few weeks going completely dark. Didn't post anything, didn't text anyone. When Mom finally called, I ignored it. When she called again, I blocked her. Same with Zach, Ava, all of them. I needed space. I needed to think. And while I was thinking, something started building inside me. A plan, kind of, not a cruel one. Not revenge in the movie villain sense. Just clarity. A way to let them feel what they'd done. Not in one dramatic blow-up or a Facebook rant. No, that's not me. I wanted them to sit with it, to wonder, to squirm. But before I could even put that plan into motion, fate handed me one last slap. Mom showed up at my apartment, unannounced. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was in sweats, eating cereal, watching reruns of Frasier, and then came a knock at the door. I looked through the peephole. It was her. I didn't open the door right away. I just stared. I hadn't seen her face in weeks. And even through the fisheye lens, I could tell she looked off. Hair a little frizzy, lips tight, like she was forcing herself to come here. Eventually, I opened the door, but only halfway. "Hey," she said, her voice strained. I said nothing. She shifted her weight awkwardly. "I've been trying to reach you." "Yeah, I know." I was worried. "You okay?" I laughed, not a happy laugh, just a dry one. "Now you're worried." She winced. "Noah, look, the reunion. You didn't tell me the date on purpose." Her mouth opened, then closed. It was a mix-up. I didn't say anything, just stared at her. "You always overthink things," she added. That practice line I knew too well. You take everything so personally. And there it was. Not an apology, not accountability. Just gaslighting. Again. I almost shut the door on her, but something in me needed to hear what came next. "Your brother said you were upset," she continued. "And I just think it's time to move past this. You're part of this family, Noah, but isolating yourself like this isn't healthy." "You're right," I said, nodding slowly. "It isn't." She smiled, relieved. Then I added, "That's why I'm done trying." And I shut the door in her face. She didn't knock again. She stood there for a few seconds. Then I heard her footsteps walking away. And inside I felt calm. Not angry, not sad, just focused. Because now I wasn't just reacting. Now I was planning. And I already knew exactly how it would begin. Rock bottom isn't always loud. It doesn't come with fireworks or screaming matches or glass shattering against the wall. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it looks like sitting in a dark room at 2 a.m., phone face down, realizing there's not a single person you can call, not without the conversation feeling fake or one-sided. That was me for a while. The silence after shutting the door on my mom didn't come with relief. Not right away. It came with more silence. Deafening silence. The kind that echoes. The next few weeks blurred together. I wasn't depressed, not in a way that keeps you in bed all day, but I wasn't okay either. I went through the motions. Work, food, sleep. I kept busy enough to avoid thinking too much, but not so busy that I felt alive. I didn't post on social media. I muted the family group chat. I even moved some of my old photos into a box and shoved it in the back of the closet. There was something symbolic about it. Closing a chapter, or at least trying to. I stopped answering when Ava texted. She sent messages like, "Can we talk?" and "Mom's worried." But they felt hollow. I didn't want to have a conversation, just so they could feel better about themselves. I wanted space. I wanted air. I wanted to feel like my life wasn't just an offshoot of theirs. And that was the beginning of it. The rise. Though I didn't know it yet. It started with the smallest thing. I cleaned my apartment. Not just a surface clean, either. I tore everything apart, scrubbed behind the fridge, vacuumed baseboards, donated bags of clothes. I even bought new curtains, ones that made the place feel brighter. I rearranged the furniture, bought a new rug, got rid of a cracked coffee table I'd inherited from my parents, and replaced it with one I actually liked. Then I took a day off work, not to sleep in or escape, but to walk through the city. No headphones, no distractions. I stopped in a used bookstore I hadn't visited in years and spent 3 hours there. Picked up a couple of novels, a journal, and this odd little book on mindfulness. Not really my style, but it felt needed. That night, I started writing again. Nothing profound, just thoughts, anger, sadness, clarity. Things I hadn't admitted even to myself. One entry said, "I'm not broken. I was never broken. I was just always trying to earn love from people who gave it to everyone else without effort." That line stuck with me. I wrote it again and again. It became my anchor. At work, I stopped just coasting. I started speaking up more in meetings, offered ideas, took initiative. My manager noticed. 2 weeks later, she offered me to lead on a new client rollout, something I normally wouldn't have volunteered for. But this time I said yes without hesitation, and I crushed it. It felt good being competent, respected, relied on, not just background noise, not just a kid who got forgotten at the family reunion. Still, the loneliness lingered, not just from being distanced from my family, but from not really having a tribe outside of them either. Most of my college friends had drifted. A few were still around, but I hadn't reached out in months. So I made a choice. I went on meetup.com. Yeah, it felt a little lame at first, like I was admitting I couldn't make friends a normal way. But honestly, it turned out to be one of the best decisions I'd made in years. I joined a board game group. Super low pressure. Just a bunch of people gathering on Thursday nights at a cafe to play Settlers of Catan and joke about who was the worst negotiator. I didn't try to impress anyone. I just showed up, and over a few weeks, I started becoming a regular. People learned my name, asked how my week was, laughed at my jokes. It felt good, real. Then there was the cooking class. My therapist. I started seeing one after the reunion mess. Forgot to mention that. Recommended I try something tactile, something that let me feel in control. So, I signed up for a beginner's Italian class at a local community center. I thought I'd drop out after the first week, but I didn't. I showed up, apron and all. I learned how to make handmade pasta. I learned that I love kneading dough, that chopping onions with the right knife feels almost therapeutic. There was something incredibly grounding about it. Being around strangers, flour on our hands, laughing about burnt garlic. One night after class, a woman named Elise, freckles, dry wit, smarter than I could track sometimes, asked if I wanted to grab a drink. We ended up talking for 3 hours about nothing, about everything. She didn't know anything about my family, my past, just me now, and she seemed to like that person. Meanwhile, the silence from my family continued, at least mostly. Ava still sent a message now and then. I ignored them, not out of malice, but out of self-preservation. I wasn't ready to let them back in. I didn't trust it, and I didn't trust myself to keep my guard up if I opened that door. But I wasn't sitting in that silence anymore. I was moving through it. 3 months after the reunion, something interesting happened. I got an email from Jenna. Subject line, "I owe you an apology." I stared at it for a long time before opening it. She wrote, "Noah, I'm sorry I didn't invite you to the baby's shower. I didn't even realize until after, and then I was too ashamed to say anything. Your mom told me you were busy. I should have checked. I should have reached out directly. You've always been kind to me, and I really appreciate everything you've done. I hope we can talk sometime." I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Another part appreciated the honesty, but it also confirmed something. They had talked about me. They decided together how involved I would or wouldn't be. Still, Jenna's message was the first time someone from that side of my life had acknowledged any fault. It meant something. Not enough to make me jump back into the fire, but enough to soften something inside me. By now, I had a new rhythm. Work was going well. I had friends I saw every week. I was trying new things. I even started planning a solo trip for the fall. First vacation in years. But the most unexpected shift? I started feeling proud of myself. Not in a braggy way, just quietly proud. For taking control. For refusing to keep chasing people who'd always made me feel like a second thought. For building a life that didn't revolve around trying to fit into a mold someone else carved. I was doing okay. And then came the text that changed everything again. From Zach. Just 2 words. "Call me." I stared at it, blinking. I hadn't heard from him in almost 4 months. Last thing he said to me was, "Guess no one told you. LOL. Now you wanted me to call." I didn't. Not right away. I waited 2 days. Then curiosity won. I called. He picked up immediately. Noah, thank God. I said nothing. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, he said quickly. But I didn't know about the reunion. I mean, I knew the date, but I thought you weren't coming. I scoffed. No. Seriously, he rushed on. Mom told us you had a work conflict, that you said you'd skip this one. That's a lie. I know, I said flatly. Now I know. I only found out like 2 weeks ago. I saw your text again in the chat, the one from that morning. And then I talked to Ava. She told me you've been distant, that you shut everyone out. I didn't realize how bad it was until Jenna told me what Mom said. He sounded sincere, but I'd heard that tone before. It always came too late. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. There was a pause. Because she's doing it again. Who? Mom. That got my attention. Doing what again? Zach exhaled. She's planning a birthday dinner for Ava. Said she invited the whole family. But when I asked if you were coming, she said, let's not make it awkward. I asked what she meant. She said you weren't in a place to be around family right now, like you were unstable or something. My jaw clenched. She made it sound like it was your choice, that you asked to be excluded. I didn't want to believe it. So I'm calling you. I didn't speak. Noah, he said, voice quieter. She's rewriting the story again, and no one's pushing back. A long silence followed. Finally, I asked, why are you? He hesitated. Because I was a jerk, he said. And I hate admitting that, but I think I just let Mom lead the narrative for too long. And I'm starting to realize how many people she's hurt by doing that. I leaned back in my chair, heart thudding. I didn't know what to say. I'm not asking you to forgive her, Zach added. But I thought you deserved to know what's happening before it happens again. And just like that, the final piece clicked into place. They hadn't just excluded me. They were rewriting me, erasing me from the story, one event at a time. And if I let it go any further, there'd be nothing left to salvage, not even the truth. That was the moment I knew it was time to stop rising quietly. It was time to let them feel everything they tried to bury, but not with anger, with something far more powerful. I didn't respond right away. Not to Zach's call, not to his weird half apology, not even when he followed up with a text saying, just want to say, I'm here if you ever want to talk more. I needed time to process what he'd said, not because I didn't believe him. I did. But because it confirmed something I had only suspected before. They weren't just leaving me out. They were rewriting the narrative to make it look like I had excluded myself. That was the part that stuck with me. Not just the emotional sting of being forgotten, but the calculated, subtle manipulation. My mom, who'd always been the soft voice coordinator of family dynamics, the one who decided who got what at Christmas and who sat where at Thanksgiving, was quietly pruning me out of the family tree. Not by cutting me off. No, that would have made her look bad. She was doing something worse. She was making it look like I left on my own. That's what made my hands start to shake with a different kind of energy. Not sadness. Not even rage. It was purpose. You see, my mom's power didn't come from being loud. It came from image control. She ran the family like a publicist runs a client. Curated, polished, always just the right amount of emotional appeal. She posted birthday collages with perfectly worded captions. She knew which cousin needed a little extra mom time and which aunt to flatter to keep the peace. And everyone trusted her version of events. Until now. Because here's the thing she never expected. I kept receipts. Old texts, calendar invites, photos, messages, audio notes. Every time I was told a different date, or told, we'll celebrate you next time, or promised I'd be included but wasn't, I'd saved it. Not out of paranoia, just habit. I was the techie one. After all, I didn't even know I was building a timeline of my own erasure. But now that timeline had value, and I wasn't going to waste it. That night, I pulled out my old laptop, my non-work one, and started building a folder labeled Family Record. Inside it, I organized everything. Screenshots of text conversations, photos with me cropped out, messages from cousins apologizing too late, even audio from an old family call where Mom said, let's keep it small this year. Noah doesn't like crowds. Which I remembered clearly because I'd offered a host that year. It was all there. By midnight, I had over 50 files. By the end of the week, over 100. But I didn't want to just dump it all in a dramatic email and call it a day. That would be satisfying for 5 minutes, but then it would vanish into noise of family drama. No, I wanted this to land. I wanted it to stick, to simmer, to expose a crack she tried so hard to paper over. So I asked myself, what did my mom fear most? The answer was obvious. Public exposure. Not to the whole world, just to our world. The family, the extended cousins, the church friends, the neighbors who saw her as a sweet, doting matriarch who always brought the best casserole. And so the plan began. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. Zach texted again a few days later. Ava's birthday dinner is next Saturday at 6 o'clock. She wants you there. I mean that? I stared at it, heart thumping. Me? Does Mom know you're inviting me, Zach? She's not inviting you. Ava is. It's at a restaurant, not Mom's house. So, technically, she can't stop you from coming. I didn't reply right away. I needed to be strategic. I spent the next 4 days gathering the final pieces. I called Jenna and asked if she'd be willing to talk. To my surprise, she was not only willing, she was ready. I've been uncomfortable about what happened all year, she admitted. I've just been afraid to say anything. You know how it goes. Speak up, and suddenly you're the dramatic one. I don't want drama. I told her. I just want the truth to be seen. Well, she said after a pause, tell me how I can help. And just like that, I had my first ally. Next was Ava. I broke the silence and texted her. Me. Heard about your dinner? You actually want me there? Ava. Yes. I didn't know what was going on until Zach told me. I've been out of the loop. I'm sorry. Me. It's not about being out of the loop. It's about choosing to look away. But I'll come. Just know I'm not pretending nothing happened. Ava. Fair. Me. Do me one favor. Ava. Anything. Me. Please don't tell Mom I'm coming. She replied with a single thumbs up. Now came the real prep. I compiled a short presentation. Not dramatic, not bitter, just honest. It wasn't a PowerPoint or anything, just a printed timeline with screenshots attached. I made about 10 packets. Each one was clean, organized, and labeled, just so you know, from Noah. I placed them in a slim leather folder. And then I called someone I hadn't spoken to in nearly a year. My Uncle Darren. Now, Darren's important. He's Mom's younger brother. Always a bit of a black sheep in the family. Not because he did anything wrong, but because he didn't play along. He and Mom had a quiet rivalry growing up, mostly over who was more respected by their parents. He moved out of state years ago, rarely came to reunions, and when he did, he kept to himself. But I always liked him. He told great stories, listened more than he talked, and never treated me like background noise. When I called, he answered with surprise. Well, hey there, kiddo. I haven't been called that in a decade. I almost choked up. I need a favor, I said. Shoot. I want you at Ava's dinner next Saturday, and I want you to help me keep things grounded if things get messy. He paused. Your mom's going to be there. Oh, yeah. Another pause. Then he said, say no more. I'll be there. And just like that, I had backup. The night of the dinner, I dressed simply. Dark jeans, collared shirt, nothing flashy. I wasn't there to perform. I was there to present. The restaurant was a nice place downtown. Semi-private dining area. When I arrived, Ava was already there chatting with a few cousins. She looked genuinely happy to see me. So did Jenna. Zach gave me a nod from across the room. Then I saw her, my mom. She was standing near the far end of the table in a floral blouse, glass of wine in hand, laughing at something someone said. Her face didn't change when she saw me walk in. Not surprise, not discomfort, just a neutral, practiced smile. She came toward me and gave me a stiff hug. Noah, she said, I didn't think you were coming. Guess no one told you, I said with a straight face. Her smile twitched, and then I walked past her. Dinner began like any other. Small talk, appetizers, polite clinks of silverware. I made no move. Not yet. I waited until halfway through, just after Ava opened her gifts, and then calmly, I stood up. I'd like to say something, I said. The table quieted. I pulled the folder from under my chair, placed it in front of me, and slowly slid a packet to each person within reach. What's this? Mom asked, still smiling. I didn't answer her. I addressed the table. For a while now, there's been a story go around about how I've chosen to pull away from the family, about how I missed a reunion and the baby shower and other events because I was too busy or didn't want to come. I let that hang. Well, that's not the truth. I took a breath. The truth is I wasn't told, or I was told the wrong date, or I was told I wasn't needed, or that things were small this year. And while that could be seen as forgetfulness or miscommunication, what makes it worse is that someone's been rewriting that story to make it seem like I left. Mom shifted in her seat. These packets, I continued, contain receipts, dates, screenshots, conversations. I'm not sharing them to embarrass anyone. I'm sharing them so you can see what actually happened, because I'm tired of being erased. Silence. Not the awkward kind, the heavy kind. I've spent years trying to be part of this family, I added, and I realized recently I don't need to try. I just need to be treated like I belong. And if I'm not, then at least let me be excluded honestly, not behind a lie. I sat down and waited. My mom's hand was frozen on her wine glass. Her eyes flicked through the packet in front of her. So did others. Zach looked stunned. Jenna was already nodding. And Uncle Darren? He smiled. Not a big grin. Just a knowing, quiet smile of someone who'd seen this coming for years and was finally watching the truth find its way to the surface. No one said anything right away. But I didn't need them to, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible anymore. But this was just the beginning. The silence after I finished speaking at Ava's birthday dinner was heavy, but not hostile. It was the kind of silence that hangs in the air when people don't know whether to look at you or look at the person sitting next to them. Some eyes darted toward my mom. Others lowered to the packets on the table. I didn't say anything else. I didn't need to, and that was the power of it. For once, I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't begged to be included. I hadn't tried to defend myself with emotion or desperation. I had just told the truth, clearly, calmly, and with receipts. The dinner ended awkwardly. A few people whispered their goodbyes. Some hugged Ava. Others made excuses to leave early. Uncle Darren patted my shoulder and said, "Proud of you." That meant more than I expected. Zach didn't say much, but he nodded at me like he finally understood the full weight of everything I'd been carrying. But Mom didn't say a word. She left before dessert. The fallout started small, subtle. The first ripple came from Aunt Marie, of all people. She texted me 2 days after the dinner. "Aunt Marie, I had no idea. I'm sorry, Noah. I should have asked more questions instead of just trusting what I was told." She wasn't dramatic about it, but it was enough. Enough to confirm what I suspected. She'd been complicit, yes, but passively, like so many others. They just went along with the narrative. But now the narrative had cracks. A few days after that, I noticed I'd been unblocked on Facebook. By Jenna, then by 2 cousins who hadn't spoken to me in over a year. No messages, not yet, but the gesture was there. But the real blowback hit when my mom tried to do damage control and failed. She posted a carefully worded status on Facebook. "Families go through things. Misunderstandings happen. Sometimes people misinterpret boundaries or mistakes. But at the end of the day, love wins. Always." Subtle, right? But I wasn't subtle anymore. I didn't reply publicly. I just posted a status of my own. If someone constantly rewrites the past to make themselves a hero, eventually the truth catches up. Love isn't silence. It isn't manipulation. And it definitely isn't gaslighting. I didn't name names. I didn't have to. The comments rolled in. Supportive, curious, some vague well wishes from people who knew something was up but weren't sure what. And then came the private messages from extended relatives, from old family friends, even from 2 of Mom's church group buddies. All of them said variations of the same thing. "I never knew. I'm so sorry." Apparently, Jenna and Zach had started quietly circulating the packet, not in a messy way, just to a few people who asked what had happened. And Jenna said, "Read this, then let's talk." That was the genius of it. I didn't have to go viral. I just had to tell the truth and let it echo. It was like water seeping through foundation cracks. Slow at first, but relentless. And once it started, you couldn't ignore the leak. Then the final piece fell into place. Church. Now, I don't attend regularly, but my parents do. They're practically royalty at the local congregation. Or were. My mom led the women's retreat committee. My dad ran parking coordination. They were known as the solid ones, the dependable couple, always present, always involved. Until people started asking why their middle son wasn't at last year's holiday service, or the Christmas Eve dinner, or the Easter brunch. And when they asked Mom, her response apparently was something along the lines of, "Noah is on a journey. We're praying for him." That alone didn't raise alarms. But when the packet started surfacing in group chats and email threads, everything changed. I got a call from Pastor Greg. We hadn't spoken in years. He used to be my youth pastor. He sounded nervous. "Noah," he said, "I just want to say I had no idea. I'm sorry for any role I played in not checking in. I wish I had." That call stunned me. Not because of what he said, but because he knew. Somehow it had reached him. That's when I realized this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about reality asserting itself. The truth was no longer just mine to carry. Now they all had to reckon with it. Even Mom. She tried reaching out. Of course she did. First it was a voicemail. Calm, carefully rehearsed. Noah, I'm really sorry for how things have unfolded. I wish we could talk privately. These public things, they only hurt everyone. Then came a text. Can we have dinner? Just the two of us. I didn't respond. Then another. I think we both said things we didn't mean. That made me laugh. I hadn't said anything cruel. I had spoken plainly. That was the part she hated most. Not the tone, but the clarity. Zach texted me a few days later. Zach, she's spiraling. Keeps saying, you've turned everyone against her. Me. I didn't turn anyone. I just stopped covering for her. He didn't argue. At work, things continued to get better. I got a raise. Was offered a chance to lead a second client rollout. I even got invited to speak at a regional tech event. Just a short panel. But still, Annalise and I had started seeing each other regularly. Nothing serious yet, but she liked me, the real me, not the family role I was forced into for years. And then a week before Thanksgiving, I got a handwritten letter from my mom. It was long, 5 pages, rambling in some parts, emotional in others. There were apologies, sort of, more about how she felt, how hard it was to be misunderstood, how she never meant to exclude me, but had to make choices that kept the family dynamic stable. That line got me. Choices that kept the family dynamic stable. Translation. She knew what she was doing, and she did it anyway because it was easier to erase me than to change the script. She ended the letter with this. I hope one day you'll forgive me. I just want us all to be whole again. I sat with it for an hour. Then I wrote one sentence on a blank piece of paper and mailed it back. Wholeness doesn't come from pretending the cracks weren't there. I haven't heard from her since. Christmas came and went. I didn't go. I spent it with Elise, her brother, and a few friends from the board game group. We made pasta from scratch, played Cards Against Humanity, laughed until 2 a.m. It was the first Christmas I didn't feel like I was missing something, because I wasn't. I wasn't missing a family. I was building one. Jenna and I talk regularly now. Zach, too, weirdly enough. He's different lately, more aware, less arrogant. Maybe we both needed to be knocked off our axis to finally meet as equals. I'm not naive. I know the damage won't ever fully disappear. But the power dynamic is gone. The part of me that begged be included, that clung to scraps of affection, that part is dead, and what's left is peace. Real peace. The kind you don't have to earn by staying quiet. The kind you don't have to apologize for just to make other people comfortable. The kind that says, I don't need to be in your photo to prove I exist. Because the people who matter, they see me. They never forgot me. And they never will.